Hey guys, Delta here. Hopefully you guys have been following along as we've been releasing a lot of cool duels. We built, some decks, Yugi, Kaiba, etc. from the Dark Side Dimensions movie packs, and we've been playing them against each other and giving you the deck profiles. Hopefully you saw the deck profile for the Kaiba deck we built from the packs, and now we're gonna see Yugi's deck. So these are a lot of cool new cards, almost entirely new cards actually. I mean, there's still Blue Eyes Lord of D, Saggy Dark Clown. Here we still have Dark Magician, Celtic Guardian, Dark Magician Girl. But by and large, most of these are new cards. And anyway, I'm just gonna get right into it, guys. It's pretty exciting stuff. So first up, we have Celtic Guardian. Now, this was used by the test Yugi in the movie that Kaiba dueled against. So there's cards from a couple different places. This one was used by that fake Yugi that Kaiba test dueled against. There's Yugi's actual cards, and then there's a couple cards that weren't seen in the movie but were in the packs. So for example, we saw Apple Magician Girl, but we didn't see Chakra Magician Girl or Berry Magician Girl. But we included Berry Magician Girl and Chakra Magician Girl, which came in the Dark Side Dimensions movie packs. So we decided to include those. Just a couple cards, but it feels like a very good deck to us overall. We used as much as we could from the packs, because it makes sense that they would be in Yugi's deck. But anyway, Celtic Guard, Ian, pretty straightforward. Not much there to talk about. Dark Magician, also pretty straightforward. Always shows up. What can you say is Dark Magician? But there's actually a decent amount of Magician support, including the Lemon and Chocolate Magician Girl and stuff. So that's pretty cool that there's actually support for Dark Magician. I mean, there's lots of Dark Magician support in the game, but. So then we have Apple Magician Girl. Like I was saying, there's a few of these new Magician Girls. All of them were included in the pack. Apple Magician Girl, when she's attacked, you get a special summon a level 5 or lower spellcaster attack monster. You redirect the attack to that, and the attacking monster's attack is halved. So that's actually pretty useful. It's sort of like Maiden with Eyes of Blue, if you're familiar with that card, which didn't come from the movie at all. But yeah, you get a redirected attack, and special summon something, and have the attacking monster attack. Not that bad. And then if she's destroyed, you can add back up to 3 Magician Girls from your graveyard to your hand. So that's actually huge. If they manage to destroy her, you get a lot back out of her. So definitely cool. It's nice to see you play on that Spellcaster, that, Magician theme. So Berry Magician Girl, she lets you pull them out of your deck. So when she's summoned, you can grab one. And then when she's attacked or targeted, you can also switch her defense and summon one from your deck. So weak attack, but she's huge. You'll see that sometimes you get a lot of good Spellcaster Magician's synergy going on with these. So then we have Celtic Guard of Noble Arms. This is an example of one that was obviously printed in the pack, but wasn't necessarily played in the by Yugi. It was in that test duel. But anyway, 2100 attack for level 4 monsters is huge, but he can't attack if there's any cards in your hand. However, you can special summon a Celtic Guard monster from your hand, which in this deck is only Celtic Guardian, which might help you relieve your hand a little bit. And then when he inflicts battle damage, you get to draw cards equal to the number of Celtic Guard monsters that you control. So it's not that bad, actually. I mean, it can be a little hard to attack with, but it has a pretty huge payoff if it does. And if nothing else, you can leave it as a 2100 attack wall. Similar to Panther Warrior, you just sit on it there. So next we have Chocolate Magician Girl with 600 attack. She's definitely stronger than the other ones we've seen so far. She's a couple different effects. The first one, you can discard a Spellcaster type monster from your hand to draw a card, which is pretty useful. Just maybe get rid of a Tribute Spellcaster in your hand, whatever, to start turboing through and drawing stuff. And then her second effect is similar to what we saw with Apple Magician Girl, where if she's attacked, you can special summon a spellcaster from your graveyard this time, but you change the attack target to that, and then the attacking opponent's monster's attack is halved. So just sort of similar, redirects the attack off of her. Then we have 2 clear Karibo. So we chose 2 because Yugi's deck doesn't have enough cards for just 40 unique. So, we had to double up on a couple cards we got. Clear Karibo, it's Karibo, so we figured it made sense. And I mean, speaking of Karibo and Clear Karibo, what we see here is really a lot of cool new versions of the cards that we, are used to. Karibo, Celtic Guard, Dark Magician, they all come back. I mean, there's a lot of new versions that really definitely are good homages or good additions to the family, you know, like Celtic Guard of Noble Arms, some new Magician Girls. Like they really feel right, you know, they feel like very good additions to the archetypes we already have, very faithful what we have. But anyway, Clear Kribo has to do, you know, attacks in the vein of the original Kribo. I'll read its effect. During either player's turn, when your opponent activates a monster effect that would inflict damage, you can discard this card, negate the activation. So it's similar to the first Kribo, the original, except for, you know, effect damage, but only from a monster. When an opponent's monster declares a direct attack, you can banish this card from the graveyard, draw one card. If it is a monster, you can special summon it, then change the attack target to it. So again, you have an opportunity to stop an attack, or at the very least draw a card by banishing Clear Kribo from your graveyard. Like we said, we need to include multiples of a couple cards, so Clear Kribo seemed like a good one to include multiples of. By the way, guys, I'm not going to read every single card, but considering for many people these are all new cards, unlike, you know, other decks we make where we might have a lot of duplicates from that same, you know, character's past decks. So feel free to pull up, you know, on Google, just pause the video, look up any of these effects. I will read some, but you might want to read some of them yourself. Dark Magician Girl, different art, but again, you know, this is a classic card returning, but this time it returns with all the other Magician Girls to support it, which is pretty cool. Then we have Gandora X, the Dragon of Demolition. So a new high-powered version of Gandora. So again, this is like the original Gandora, just a slightly different, usually slightly better version, but still staying kind of faithful to it. When summoned, you can destroy as many other monsters as possible, which is huge. Then your opponent takes damage equal to the highest attack there. So if it's like a Blue Eyes, they take 3,000. Then again, Dora's attack becomes equal to that damage inflicted. But the downside is during your end phases, you have to have your life points. So it's a huge card, and having like a Dark Hole on legs is tremendous in Yugi's deck. Similar to the first Gandora that Yugi used, it's huge, but it does have a little bit of downside. So what are you going to do? But I mean, having your life points is not that bad. There's worse things. Still a cool card nonetheless, and a good addition. So Gold Gadget. If some of you play competitively, obviously, you may notice, you know, the Blue Eyes Alternative Dragon is seen in competitive play. You might notice Gold and Silver Gadget are sometimes seen in competitive play. Dark Magician cards, some, though they didn't do as well as Blue Eyes decks generally, still saw some competitive play. So this might be a familiar card for some of you, but if not, basically when you summon, you have the opportunity to special summon a level 4 machine type monster, or if he's destroyed, you get to summon a Gadget monster from your deck. So he gives you a couple different options. It's good, obviously, paired with Silver Gadget. It's good that you can either summon from your hand or summon from the deck, depending on the situation. 1700 attack is not bad either. Not a bad card at all. So then we have Kiwi Magician Girl. So she has a couple different effects. One is like a battle trap kind of effect, you know, a monster card that activates this effect from the hand, like Kribo or Effect Veiler. You can discard her to increase the attack and defense of all Magician Girl monsters by 300 for each different Magician Girl monster on the field or in the graveyard. So if you have one on the field and you put her in the graveyard, it's instantly 600 attack boost. That can be huge during battle. I mean, it'll really help you get over monsters. And then her second effect, if she's actually on the field, which isn't the easiest because she's a tribute, but, you know, still it can obviously happen. Your opponent cannot target or destroy Spellcaster type monsters. So that can actually be pretty huge. I mean, sometimes it'll be easier for them to run over an 1800 attack monster. But it's still something, and, you know, we don't complain about something. Then we have Lemon Magician Girl. So you can tribute a Magician Girl monster to add a Spellcaster from your deck to your hand, which is pretty good. You know, maybe not as good as Berry Magician Girl just searching it right away, but still useful. And if she's targeted for an attack, similar to other ones, you can special summon a Spellcaster type monster from your hand. Its effects are negated, but the attack targets it. The attacking monster attack is half. You know, it's the same thing we saw. She's also pretty weak in stats, though, so especially for her, that protection effect is very good. Then we have Lord Gaia, the Fierce Knight. So it's sort of like a Cyber Dragon type thing, where you can special summon him, which is useful, because he's 2300 attack, but is 7 stars. Similar to Swift Gaia, he has a way to special summon himself. And then, if a monster is special summoned with higher attack than him to your opponent's field, you can increase his attack by 700 until the end of the turn. So, I mean, is he the greatest card? No, but any 2300 attack monster that you can special summon for free is pretty good, and then the fact that he can boost himself, really good too. Also just cool art. A lot of these cards have great art. Again, cool new addition to the Gaia theme. Not really going to complain there. Nothing to complain about. 3 Marsh Macaron. So like we talked about, you know, the faithful expansion of themes with new exciting cards, or at least new versions of cards, because I don't know if Marshmallow is really a theme. This is obviously very similar to Marshmallow. It's Marsh Macaron. Pretty cool, a little funny. But what Marsh Macaron does is, sure, he may not have a lot of attack, but if he's destroyed, and it's by battle or by card effect, you get to special summon 2 more Marsh Macaron, but that's from anywhere, basically, your hand, deck, or graveyard. You know, not banished zone, but hey, hand, deck, or graveyard is still really good. But you can only activate this effect once per turn, though. So it's not like you can just have one Marsh Macaron summon 2, your opponent destroys them, and the last one summons a 2 that were just, you know, if you could activate their effects multiple times in the turn, that would be nuts. But it's a cool card. It helps you get tributes. Definitely something that is very cool and comes up a lot. Not an impervious wall like Marshmallow. But hey, it's still cool. Then we have Palladium Oracle Mahad. So what he does is, when you draw this card, you can reveal this card, special summon from your hand. Pretty cool. If he battles a dark monster, you double his attack during the damage step. That's also pretty cool. And then if he's destroyed by a valor card effect, you can special summon 1 Dark Magician from your hand, deck, or graveyard. So clearly continuing the Dark Magician theme. 2500 attack, 2100 defense, just like Dark Magician. The fact that you can double his attack can be pretty useful. The fact that you can special summon him easily, or at least sometimes special summon him, is also pretty useful. Definitely a strong card, and I mean, objectively better than Dark Magician. And now, for those who don't know, Palladium Oracle Mahad is Dark Magician before he becomes Dark Magician. So you're talking back to ancient Egypt with the Pharaoh. That's pretty cool. A little extra, you know, cool thing added on. Obviously, the card's better than Dark Magician, but that's a little bit of its lore that may be interesting to some of you. Yeah, that is Palladium Oracle Mahad. Cool card. Then we have 2 Sentry Soldier of Stone. So again, a nice, new, cool, faithful version of Giant Soldier of Stone. So similar, you know, 2000 defense, not much different there. And its effect isn't really that useful, but if he's in graveyard and the only monsters you control are rock, but you have to have at least 1, you can special summon him. Also, it's just, you know, a classic card coming back, 2000 defense, not bad. Probably the reason we chose to include 2. So then we have the last monster, which is Silver Gadget. Similar to Gold Gadget, actually literally like the same effects. Again, with each other, they just help. You can special summon them both from your hand in 1 turn, or normal summon one and special summon the other, which is cool. Or you can pull 1 from the deck. You know, not bad to see. Obviously, they're better, you know, maybe competitive play with a dedicated Gadget deck, but, you know, for Yugi's deck, they just summon each other. Then we have Dark Magic Veil, which is a cool card. Again, there's a lot of Dark Magician or at least Spellcaster support in this deck. So this one, you just pay 1,000 life points so you can special summon a Spellcaster from your hand or deck. Pretty cool, good way to get Dark Magician out. You know, just definitely not a bad card at all. Can't summon from the graveyard, but, you know, still not a bad card. No complaints here. And Yugi's a fairly slim spell lineup, just so you guys know. He has actually a lot more traps and spells. Moving on, 2 Magical Contract Door. So what this does is you have to give your opponent 1 of your spell cards, which, yes, is huge. You can give them something that won't really do them much good, like maybe Dark Magic Veil, depending on the deck, won't do them much good. Thousand Eyes may not do them much good. But you give them a spell, and then the trade-off is you can add 1 level 7 or 8 Dark Monster from your deck to your hand. So, I mean, it is a pretty good effect. You get to search whatever you need from your deck. Definitely useful, and doesn't just have to be like Dark Magician. I searched Gandor X with this, so you can pull that card when you need, which is really good. So you sort of have a searchable, sort of almost like Dark Hole. Not bad at all. It's a new card. We included 2 of it. And you can theoretically give 1 to your opponent to activate the other one if you wanted to. Magical Dimension, classic card. It's easier to use in this deck than maybe many other, you know, character decks. You have a lot of spellcasters, so it's easy to have 1 on the field and special summon 1 from your hand. You're just going to have it more frequently. You know, not much to say here. The fact that you can pop something is good. Monster Born is Monster Born. Not much to say there. Polymerization. Sadly, there's no fusions in the deck. We don't really like to include cards that can't really be used. We did see us get handed off with Magical Contract Door, so he clearly had it, and we felt it was fine to include 1. You can hand it off with Magical Contract, or you can set it as a bluff. Still things you can do. Last spell, 1,000 Knives. Not much to say here. It's a little easier to get out Dark Magician. You especially have all your magicians to summon it, the magician girls. You have like Dark Magic Veil, a few options, Monster Born. So it's not actually that hard to get out Dark Magician. And then go throwing knives at your opponent. So first up for the traps, we have Dark Horizon. Whenever you take damage, you can special summon a Spellcaster type monster from your deck whose attack is less than or equal to damage. So think sort of like Damage Condenser. It can actually be really good some situations as long as you're taking damage, which isn't that good, but you know what I'm saying. If you take a nice chunk of damage at the start, you can pull out a couple different cards. Then we have 2 Dig of Destiny. So I'm just going to turn around. When you take battle damage, draw 1 card. It's pretty nice. You just shuffle through your deck. You have to set it first, and under specific conditions, it's not quite as good as something like Jar of Greed, but got a second effect too. If this card in its owner's control is destroyed by an opponent's card effect, you can draw cards equal to the number of Dig of Destinies in your graveyard. So again, we had to double up cards because of the second effect, which may not happen all the time because it may not be destroyed. But if it is, there's multiple Dig of Destiny, so you at least have the opportunity in the deck to activate its second effect and draw like 2. So, you know, it makes sense, not bad. It just lets you draw basically. Doesn't really do that much substantial besides letting you draw. But hey, still not a bad card. Next up we have Dimension Guardian, and there's a slew of Dimension cards in here. Dimension Guardian, Dimension Sphinx, Dimension Mirage, you know, quite a few. This one just lets you, you know, target and attack position monster, and it cannot be destroyed by battle or by card effects. So that is actually really good. I mean, your opponent can target it and banish it, but still this offers quite a lot of protection. But anyway, not a bad card at all. However, you know, if the monster is destroyed, destroy this card. So yeah, I mean, it doesn't have any use after the monster it helps is destroyed. Then we have Dimension Mirage, which isn't really that good in most situations. So basically what it does, you activate it by targeting one face attack position monster opponent controls. At the end of the damage step, when it attacks the monster, but the attack target was not destroyed by battle, so whatever that monster attacks has to survive somehow. You can banish a monster from your graveyard. It must attack again in a row. If the target monster leaves the field, destroy this card. So basically just force your opponent's monster to attack again if the monster attacked wasn't destroyed. In most duels, not going to have a really practical purpose. But it's still in there. Maybe you'll use it sometimes. Who knows? Then we have another Dimension card, Dimension Reflector. So this one has a hefty cost. You have to banish 2 of your cards. But it lets you target an opponent's monster. You get to special summon, you know, monster with attack and defense equal to that one, spellcaster type, whatever. You basically say your opponent's blitz. You special summon a monster with that much attack, 3,000, whatever. Then your opponent takes damage equal to the attack of the monster you special summoned. So it's a hefty cost to banish 2 monsters, but it basically works like cloning. It gives you, you know, a monster equal to the attack of your opponent's monster. But it does damage too. So you can actually win the game with this if you are in that situation. It can definitely happen. It's not, especially if you face something really strong too, like you know, Blue Eyes Ultimate, something like that. 4,500 damage, and you get your own 4,500 attack monster. So Dimension Reflector is not a bad card at all. Maybe one of the more viable Dimension cards. Like I said, lots of traps. Then we have Dimension Sphinx. So again, not that great. You can target an attack position monster you control if it's attacked by an opponent's monster with higher attack. Your opponent takes a difference between their attack as damage. And then if the monster is destroyed, you remove this card. So, I mean, if your opponent's, say, attacking your Dark Magician, with a Blue Eyes, for example, you can inflict 500 damage to your opponent. But it doesn't stop the attack. So it's really just good for a little bit of damage. You know, not that practical, but, you know, hey, you can still end games with it. You know, got a few direct damage cards here. It's not bad at all. So then we have Final Geas. If a level 7 or higher monster is sent from each player's field to the graveyard, so it has to be both, at least one for both, you can banish all monsters in both graveyards, which is huge. Can take a lot of things out of play, you know, not able monster born them anymore. Then you get special summon the one highest level spellcaster type monster. So you don't get a choice. It has to be the highest level to your field. So it's actually not that bad, you know. If both your monsters, both unit opponent's monsters are destroyed, you get a special summon something out of it. Not that bad. Is it situational though? Yes, it's a little situational. I'm not gonna lie. A lot of these Yugi cards are. So Magician's Defense. Basically, control a spellcaster type monster, your damage is halved. Not that bad to have damage. And then this card is destroyed, you get a monster reborn, a spellcaster. So it's not bad. You know, if your opponent wants to get it off the field, so they're doing full damage, you're going to get something back out of it. Pretty good. Again, one of those magician cards. Now, interestingly, it's funny because when it talks about having the damage, it says you cannot have the same damage twice this way. Because maybe somebody would be playing and think like, okay, I'm going to have 2,000 damage to 1,000. But the effect says I have damage, so I can have that 1,000 to 500. Then I get to have the 500 to 250. So I like how they actually clarified, just, so it's obvious that something like that doesn't work. But regardless, it's not a bad card. Again, lots of traps. Yugi, some of them are situational, but not that bad at all. Then we have Metalhold, the Moving Fortress. Again, you can look up cards, but I'm going to get this one out for you. It's similar to the original Metalhold Special Summoning, but there's a lot here. Activate this card by targeting any number of level 4 machine-type monsters you control. So really only your gadgets in this case. Special Summon this card doesn't affect monster, machine-type, Earth, level 4, attack 0, defense 0. It's not like the original Metalhold that has no defense. Then equip those Fates of Monsters to this card. If summoned this way, this card gains attack equal to the combined attack of the monsters equipped to it by this effect. Monsters your opponent control cannot target monsters you control for attacks, except this one. Also, your opponent cannot target monsters you control with card effects, except this one. So basically, it's not that bad someday. Like, if you only have one gadget, it's only going to have the attack of that gadget. So, 1700, it's only going to have 1700, whatever. But your opponent can still not target other monsters you control, except it. So that is a big bonus. And then if you do happen to have both gadgets, maybe special summon them with the other one's effect, it can have like 3,000 plus attack, which is actually pretty strong. So not bad at all. Then we have Metamorph Fortress, another card that special summons itself. Again, I'm going to read it, not quite as much here, but activate this card by targeting one level 4 or higher monster you control. So this one is more generic, anything you want. Special on this card is an effect monster, rock type, earth level 4, attack 1000, defense 1000. Then equip that Fates of Monster to this card. This card is still also a trap card. If summoned this way, this card gains attack and defense equal to the attack of the monster equipped by this effect. Also, if it attacks, change the defense position and the damage check. So you have a Goblin Attack Force type switch defensing going on here. But basically, whatever level 4 higher monster you want, you get 1,000 extra attack. So you equip that to this, and it already starts with 1,000. It gains the attack of that. So, if you've say one of the gadgets, 1,700 attack, because it has 2,700. And this is a rock monster, so it actually works as Sentry Soldier of Stone, which is pretty cool. We have Spiritual Swords of Revealing Light as the last card. Basically, when an opponent's monster attacks, you can pay 1,000 life points to negate that attack. You can do that multiple times per turn, which is really good, actually. It's really good to be able to negate however many attacks you want. And then this card is in the graveyard. You can banish it during your opponent's turn, and monsters they control cannot attack directly. So a couple different effects. The first one you'll probably use most, but again, like a few of the cards we see, if your opponent destroys it, it has an effect from the graveyard. That's definitely something you see in competitive cards a lot, where they get an effect that if they're in the graveyard, you can banish them to do something. It's very common. It's a way of making cards better. They have multiple good effects for multiple different situations. And we see that with a lot of these cards too. A lot of Yugi's cards, a lot of Kaiba's cards. Anyway, that is Yugi's 40 card deck.